Welcome to the Intuitive Therapist Podcast with Janis R. Cohen, therapist, clairvoyant, empath, and medium. Listen in as she takes a no-nonsense deep dive into real human struggles and how to resolve them. Janis will share channeled information from her spirit guide team, as well as the angels and archangels, to help you master your emotional, physical, financial, and spiritual destiny. And now, Janis R. Cohen. Hey y'all, this is Janis Cohen, the Intuitive Therapist here on the Intuitive Therapist Podcast. Welcome to another week. We are deep into August. Unbelievable. And we are deep into Mercury retrograde. And I think everybody's seeing all of that play out with technology and communication snafus. And then, of course, there's what's going on with Mars and all of that intense, aggressive behavior coming out. So it's a lot. There's a lot going on astrologically right now. And in a recent episode, I talked about what you would need to do to take action in your life. And I wanted to continue that conversation about talking about what it's going to take action in your life, but with a different twist. And today's episode is all about what you owe yourself. So as you think about that, as it relates to what's preventing you from taking action in your life, if you think about this, there are likely to be a number of limiting beliefs that are stopping you from moving forward. But what if those weren't the only obstacles in the way? What if you asked yourself a series of questions that allowed you to begin to chip away at those limiting beliefs quicker than you could possibly imagine? So today's episode, it's unique in the fact that I'm not going to give you a step-by-step process to resolve anything. I like to give suggestions step-by-step. I like it when people do that in podcasts or anything else I'm listening to, but today's not that day. What I'm going to offer you is a perspective about your relationship with yourself that just might change the game for you. And if you've listened to my podcast for a while, it's likely that you've noticed that I use questions as a key component in helping clients and you see another way out of their challenges. And I also use them to help teach you how you can massively improve the relationship that you have with yourself, because we all know that the only relationship that truly matters is the one with yourself. That's it. Stop. Full stop, right? So to me, questions are the primary method I use to help people make significant internal shifts so that their external reality can be significantly changed. But not just superficial questions. I like to go deep. So the questions that poke right at the source of things so that the barrier between the known and unknown can be broken open. Something magically happens when you learn to become more introspective with quality questions. And what I mean by quality questions are those questions that lead you to quality answers that are beyond the norm, that are specific, that open up possibility. And it's as if somebody has taken off your blindfold when this happens, and you can actually start to adjust your eyes to see the light. You see, quality questions move us closer to our desired outcomes. And the more difficult and intellectually challenging those questions are, really, the better they are. Because we've got to lean into relying on our intuition and our heart to truly draw out the answer or answers that are going to help us move the needle in our lives. So I truly believe in that. The more difficult and intellectually challenging the questions are, the more we come to the true answers, but because we're going within, we're connecting to our higher mind, our intuition, and our heart, what we truly want. So when you create space to access your higher self, this intuitive part of you, where you're, forcing and pushing, they seem unnecessary. And you can now hear, feel, see, and know quality information, quality answers that you'd not been able to access before with your thinking mind. So the right questions always lead you to the right answers. And so this question today that I pose to you is a very high quality question. What do you owe yourself? So for starters, what about forgiveness for all the unnecessary hardships you put yourself through with stressing and struggling and worrying about the future that you really can't do anything about? What about for all the really nasty, critical, and self-loathing thoughts you've had when you've screwed up or been rejected or didn't perform as well as you should have or plain old failed or it didn't step up to yourself in the ways that you know you could have but didn't? Do you owe yourself honor, praise, compassion, kindness, a kick in the ass, a pardon, a night out? For most of us, peace is what we owe ourselves. And a beautiful way of offering that to ourselves is to speak to ourselves the same way we would speak to the most precious person in our lives. For some of you, that's your spouse. For others, it's your children. For others, it's your pet or your mother or father or sister or brother or friend. The one who is innocent of blame in your mind, shame, guilt, and wrong choices. What do you owe yourself? Many of us owe ourselves time to slow down because we're operating on fumes. What about more playtime or fun or dancing and singing? What about a swim? What about the self-permission to dream big and actually manifest big, the permission to be authentically true, right? To just be you all out. Do you owe yourself time to sit with your emotions and allow them to seep through you until they've been resolved without judgment or criticism, just acceptance and love? What about self-care, a bath, eating healthier food, a walk in nature, a cold glass of water, or if you're like me, a room temperature glass of water? What do you owe yourself? To harness your strengths and even more to love and accept your weaknesses? What about keeping your promise to yourself or looking in the mirror and speaking lovingly into your own eyes like a lover would? Do you owe yourself the opportunity to fail, to screw up without being convicted of a crime and learning from it? What about lighting a candle in the darkness and staring at the flame while noticing what thoughts come up and what intuitive hits or insights show up into your awareness? Just being, the permission to just be. When I ask myself this question, I can't really answer it quickly. I have to take some time to focus, to get quiet, and to see what comes up for me. And many of the things that I've mentioned, I would say I kind of owe myself too. Maybe sitting, getting quiet, and sitting with yourself is what you owe yourself first. The quiet time to be able to contemplate, not convict yourself further. The permission to stop doing, and just being. If you figured out what you owe yourself, how do you plan to deliver on that? I'd love to hear y'all. Please drop me a note either on Instagram at The Intuitive Therapist or reach out to me through my website, janisrcohen.com, and tell me what you owe yourself and how you're going to make that happen. I hope you found one thing you owe yourself today and that you've decided to deliver on it, because it just might be the thing that shifts your life just enough to move the needle in your life. I want to invite you to connect with me on Instagram, like I said, at The Intuitive Therapist, And then on YouTube, my new YouTube channel. And you'll look up The Intuitive Therapist with Janis R. Cohen. What do you owe yourself? Figure it out. Deliver on it. Life will be better when you do. I wish you a blessed day, a wonderful week, and as always, live intuitively.
Thanks for listening to The Intuitive Therapist. If you like what you heard, the best compliment you can give us is to share this podcast with a friend. And be sure to give us some stars and a favorable review at Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen in.